What is happening, fellow fantasy GMs? I am JJ Wang. He is the bearded one, DJ Dub. With our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
Oh, JJ Wang, it's the week. It's football week. We are going to be watching football. Our next show, we will literally record about an hour or so before the first football game of the season. So this is really the last time you will hear the Courier Nation will hear us talk before there has been a football game that matters. You're a little stoic, dude. I'm sitting here bouncing in my chair. Are you're just it's just not here yet, right? You want to see it before you believe it.
It's here, but you're more of the animated guy. I like to kind of hold things in a little more, but hey, don't get it twisted. I mean, I'm just as ready for football as the next guy. I gotta like you're up here. I gotta keep it level a little bit. I mean, let's. I don't want to overdo it too much. I don't want to overboard the consumer out there.
I mean, I might need some melatonin Wednesday night just so I can sleep, so that I get a good night's sleep and I can stay up and I can watch the ball game. Uh, we are the Fantasy Couriers. Hit us up on Courier Nation. We're going to share some comments from Courier Nation later on as well. But we're everywhere. We're Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. If you want to see a hilarious picture of me, pop on Instagram or Facebook. It's on there. DJ Dub's Week 1 Fantasy Pros rankings are up there. Go. I want to see some comments. Who thinks I'm a total moron? You can go standard. You can go PPR. You can go half PPR. Man, I was burning the midnight oil getting them together. I started writing comments, and I was like, I better not do that too much because that's exhausting.
Oh,
Those
I mean,
pros.
it's a lot of work. I mean, kudos to you for doing it. I had a lot of trouble just doing our show rankings. I mean, it would get pretty much gave me all I really wanted to handle. But kudos to you.
So yeah, it's my pet project this year. I got to learn what I can do, what I'm willing to do as far as time with life because I do have the two podcasts. I got my kids we're going to go full throttle soon because kids have stuff every night of the week starting pretty soon, and it's just going to be crazy trying to find enough hours in the day to get through everything. But hey, it's football season, and we're going to be there for the Couriers and the footballs. It's going to be some amazing stuff coming up, but. We're not going to go through any news or notes today. Check out some great resources online, but do make sure you stick around. We're going to do bold predictions with Jared and Scott coming up, but make sure you stick around. We have a very special treat coming up after the bold predictions, as well as some bold predictions from Courier Nation for you. So without further ado, let's jump in with some bold predictions. So as we were saying, we have some amazing guests today. Two guys that are super involved in their league. They always are helping promote our shows, and they're always involved in leagues we were in. One guy is a returner from last year. We figured we better bring him back because he got his homer pick right, and Najee Harris was better. And Jason's rolling his ass. JJ Wang is like, nah, I can't take it. But we have Scott back from last year to see if he can continue the bold prediction trend. Scott, real quickly, give us like a 30-second how you got into fantasy football and what keeps you into it.
Gosh, I think I've been doing fantasy football for easily 15 years. It might even be 20 at this point. A couple buddies from when I grew up back in high school kind of got me into it, and I think I drafted Marcus Colston and Brian Westbrook that year, not knowing what I was doing, and I won my first season. So I've been kind of hooked ever since, and it's really been all downhill since then. But
Never win again.
yeah, I've won a couple, but injuries and everything else. But anyways, I think just the camaraderie of it, it's fun, and I always complain every year about little things like injuries, but I keep seeming to come on back. It's just a good way to keep in touch with people and have some fun every week.
I think I always talk about the key is you make new friends. Like I've never met you in person, but you're probably one of the people I talk to most in the world. Like we send messages probably multiple times during the week, and heck, very rarely is it about life or anything anything like. We probably couldn't name each other's kids, but we know we have them, and we've seen pictures of them.
You can name your fantasy teams, though. That's all that matters.
Priorities around here, Adam. Priorities.
Yeah, I could name your fantasy team, but I would probably have to change the filter to the explicit level here in our room with the new one. But the camaraderie sort of leads to Jared. I met Jared when we took over the site of the Skull King league. He was on the Skulking community, and we just started chatting and chatting and chatting, and just kept going back and forth about leagues and stuff. And he roped me into another league this year. I was like, I can't join any more leagues, dude. No, I can't. And I forgot to tell you that luckily for me, one of my other redraft league folded, so I got to take that money, and now it comes into your league. So, but he's the co-commissioner of the startup league that I've been sending out stuff about all year. So, Jared, same question. How'd you get into fantasy, and what just keeps you going each year?
Well, I got into fantasy. I had a cousin who reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to play, and I never played before, and I was like, sure. So I tried it. Ended up getting the first pick in the draft that year. I think it was like 2010, but did not knowing what I was doing, I went ahead and took Tom Brady with the very first pick. And I
Right.
don't even know how I finished, but anyways, a couple years later, he's like, yeah, he's like, you want to take over commissioning? And I was like, okay. So I ended up getting some other buddies in there, turning into from a 10-man team to a 14-man team. Had that going for like 7, 8 years, and then uh, changed it into a 12-man super flex. Started commissioning another league with keepers, and then, like Adam said, this year we're doing a super flex tight end dynasty league. So, but yeah, I mean, I love fantasy football. It keeps me in contact with other people who I probably would lose touch with and stuff. But it's
Yeah.
just fun to play. It's my thing. This is what I do.
Now you're talking to two dudes in Virginia and a dude down in North Carolina. You're getting you're all on the East Coast.
That's right. Worldwide.
Yeah, that's the way it's gonna go. I was telling all the guys before the show that I just posted my week one rankings, and there are hits from around the world. It makes me feel like I was like, cool. There's some European hits, Florida, Miami, Oregon. I was like, whoa, this is cool. Somebody's clicking the wrong button on the internet somewhere, and they want to lose this week really badly. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk bold predictions. It's our guest show of the year with bold predictions. What we're going to do is we're going to do a round robin. We'll each take a moment to share a bold prediction we have, and we're going out on a limb here. These are things I think JJ Wang mentioned last week. They're things that might not happen, but there's a probability of them happening. Every blue moon they do, and it's not something you go, oh yeah, I really think this is totally possible. But it's like this could happen, and then the rest of it, if somebody has something to chime in after we give our reasoning why we make this bold prediction, we'll bust others' chops and move on to the next guy. So JJ Wang's been quiet up there. So let's start with JJ Wang. Give us your first bold prediction. I'm curious how big these numbers are going to get. I'm expecting millions for this first one, like millions.
All right, yeah. So when I first did the Brady stick, you know, so he had 719 pass attempts this past year, and so the record is 727. It's held by Matt Stafford actually. So I was surprised that he held the record for that. So, it's been 750, it's been 900, it's been 1,000. I mean, it keeps going up. But actually, I'm not going to go too crazy, but I think Brady hit 700 pass attempts this year, maybe even more, because I don't think this team runs the ball at all. I think the offensive line is garbage. They brought in two tight ends. Your boy they brought in Kyle Rudolph, and they got Brady. I think them two are just going to stay on the offensive line, block all day long. Julio in the slot, Godwin and Evans on the outside, and Brady's last year, he is just going to sling it all over the yard.
Wow. Tom Brady, 700 pass attempts.
800.
Oh, I'm typing everything wrong, so I have it for the Instagram. 800 pass attempps.
And I wanted to go a little higher, but I mean, I don't know really how high you can go, but I think 800 is a
So
lot.
800 pass attempts is your bold prediction. Where are you thinking for touchdowns and yardage? How is he going to go there?
I mean, we could talk 45 to 50 touchdowns. I don't know how great. I mean, it could be more than. I'm talking. This could be like a record year. I mean, all just across like passing, everything passing in the season. Brady hasn't. He's going to go for it. I mean, this could be it. I mean, this is it.
Yeah. What do you think, guys? It ludicrous, probable, possible, or we just don't want it to happen because we hate Tom Brady?
I'm on the same page as JJ here. I mean, he's number 8 on the Fantasy Pros website ranking. I mean, he was what, top 3 last year, wasn't he?
Number
I
number
think
2.
Yeah, everything he said is right on track. And to that vein, I had Evans potentially in my top 5 or even top 3 for this year. I think Evans could bomb out and do a Randy Moss type season from back in the day with the amount of throwing he's going to be doing.
I mean, it would surprise that Evans has 20 touchdowns. I mean, he might not have a lot of catches, but dude could have 20 touchdowns. It's gonna be
Within
crazy.
the realm of possibility.
It'll be crazy.
Yeah, I ended up making a trade in my other dynasty league. I traded Kyle Pitts for Mike Evans earlier in the year because figured guy would not be in there. I already had Travis Kelce, but no, I'm with JJ Wang. I mean, I think Brady's being slept on. They just let him do what he wants. He's going to throw the ball around. I mean, Mike Evans, Godwin, Julio Jones, Fournette. The sky's the limit for him. I mean, 50 touchdowns. Could be.
Yeah.
And it's funny how everything that you all said is going to link in a way. Scott's eyes got really big, and we're going to get to you in a second, Scott, because of that trade that just happened. But in between there, Jared's going to take one of Tom Brady's favorite targets this year, possibly, and he's going to give a bold his first bold prediction. Go for it.
Yeah, I said Julio Jones is going to get 10 plus touchdowns this year from Brady. I think Godwin probably be brought along a little bit slowly in the beginning of the year. Still recovering a little bit from his ACL injury. But, I mean, like J.J. Wayne said, they're just going to throw the ball around. He's going to be throwing for 45 plus touchdowns. It's got to go somewhere. And if Julio stays healthy, he's got to stay healthy, though. So
That's a big if.
Yeah, the best thing about that, he's not gonna have to be on the field all the time. He's like a weapon now. He's like Gronk was. Like Gronk was never healthy. But you know, when Gronk came in, boom, you're gonna get production out of Gronk. And Julio's gonna be Gronk for Brady this year. He's gonna be wide open, getting guarded by linebackers and slot corners. It's gonna be hilarious.
I think it's kind of funny because Julio has been the one who's been the healthiest in training camp and so far for the receivers.
He'll get more touchdowns this year than he's had in his whole Atlanta career combined.
What's 1 plus 3 plus 4 plus 2? See, Julio's when he got signed, how many of us laughed and said, "Oh, really? Come on." I was on the Russell Gage train. I was like, "Yes, Russell Gage. Brady wants Russell Gage. I got him as like my number 6 in one league. That's going to be great insurance." And now I'm like, "Who wants Russell Gage? Someone take Russell Gage, please. Just here, give me something. Give me something."
I would have laughed if Julio would have went anywhere else. But as soon as he went to Tampa Bay, I was like, "Ooh, this is interesting." Julio with Tom Brady. I mean, this could be. I'm telling you, all 3 of these guys, they could. Well, I think all 3 of them must have 1,000 yards, right? Godwin, Julio, and Mike Evans can all have 1,000 yards. And Gage, you know what? Throw Gage in there. Who have 1,000 yards too?
That there. Okay, JJ Wang, right there. Your bonus one. All 4 Buccaneers receivers have 1,000 yards. If that happens, I might shave my head. I don't know. Like it just seems beyond ludicrous. They don't have to have like 1,000 yards to be solid there. But there was a trade mentioned earlier. Mike Evans for Kyle Pitts in a dynasty, was an intriguing. I think that's why Scott's eyes got really big based upon his bold prediction and liking Kyle Pitts. So educate us, Mr. Scott.
Yeah, I have some other guys I was going to talk about, but we're going that direction since this trade got brought up. I think Pitts could actually be the tight end 1 this season. I didn't write a bunch of stats down for him. I wrote stats down for the other guys to talk about, but he went over 1,000 yards in his first season, if I remember correctly. I am personally not a Drake London believer. I think he is average at best, doesn't get really good separation. He's kind of a point catch kind of guy. And, especially in these redraft and best ball leagues, when I see Kelsey going in the first round and Pitts is going in the third round, Pitts is an unbelievable value there. I can see Pitts going for 1,200 yards, and I think he didn't have a ton of touchdowns last year.
One touchdown.
Yeah, he's easily going to get 4 or 5 touchdowns, if not more, this year, in my opinion.
I mean, I think it could be double-digit touchdowns, honestly. I mean,
Yeah, I just think he's really they had Cordell Patterson. He's the only play in town. He is truly the only play in town. And I just see regression from Kelsey and Andrews a bit this year. That's where I'm kind of standing with Pitts right now.
well, you know my thoughts on that. I see Pitts as the number one, and then I also got my other two guys up in there too. But yeah, Pitts could be the number one tight end for the next 5 years, 6 years, 10 years.
Easily.
And Scott, wrap up your bold tight end. He had a tight end chunk here, so I want to throw Pitts in there. But I want you to hear these last 4 nuggets he's going to throw in there to just smash Pitts as his number one.
You're talking about the other guys that I had mentioned in there?
Yeah, you have that line of guys there. Yeah, just quick little smash of them.
I do think that one of Kelsey or Andrews is not going to be top 3. And if I had to pick, I would say it's probably Andrews regressing. I think Schultz is a top 3 tight end this year. Not that, I have him on 2 of my dynasty teams, but the way I look at that team, I mean, their wide receiver room is absolutely depleted. It's young, it's unproven. CD's only on year 3 right now. I think Schultz easily pushes over 1,000 yards. Pretty easy within reach. And then my last big upside play is Njoku finally doing something.
Finally! Oh, man.
Amari is old. I think Brissett has traditionally targeted his tight ends more than anyone on the team. Same for that system and coaching staff, I think, and they just got signed to a big contract. They didn't do that for not giving them the ball. So I think Njoku is being drafted or ranked at number 16 off the top of my head. I think top 10 is easily within. If you're looking for that late round upside play and you didn't draft a top 12 tight end, Njoku's been my best ball target all over the place.
I think you just want Kelsey and Andrews to be bad because they're both on my team in our tight end flex.
Yeah, that's probably true.
But honestly, in my opinion, I think Andrews and Kelsey are both bad, and then Goddard and Freiermuth all take over the top 3.
Fryer, man, that would be a homer pick for me too. Yeah, I love Fryer this year.
I think the interesting thing that you just said, Scott, was Kelsey, Andrews, Njoku. I think they're all the number 1 options on their team. Oh, yeah. Maybe not Njoku, but he's right. He's right there, close with Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
So late in the
when I'm making late in the trades and such, I go with targets.
Yeah.
Intriguing. Now I'm going to jump on my first bold prediction is my boy Cortland Sutton. I grabbed him right. Luckily, I had many shares of him before the Russell Wilson acquisition. And I just think Russ is in love with Cortland Sutton. Russ is throwing the ball only to Cortland Sutton. Jerry Jeudy, he can get his to a point, and Sutton will still get his 1,500 yards and 18 touchdowns this year.
He's wide receiver 1.
Oh, that would make him wide receiver 1 by a mile. So yeah, Cortland Sutton's going to be wide receiver 1. He's going to get 1,500 yards, 18 touchdowns. In the AFC West, every team is going to have some receiver that has a bajillion yards because they're going to sling the ball. The AFC West is going to throw and score. It's probably going to be Sutton, and then one of the Chargers guys. My heart says it's my brain says it's probably Williams, and my heart says it's why is my brain dying on the other guy that I love. Thank you, Keenan Allen. And then probably Devontae Adams and then Travis Kelce. So those are the 4 guys that'll get a bazillion here. But Sutton's going to get 1,500 yards, 18 touchdowns. I mean, Russell Wilson, I still, to this day, do not think that Tyler Lockett is this extraordinary player. But he was in the right situation. We'll find out this year. I could be proven wrong. I've never been a Lockett guy. But Tyler Lockett had 3,000-yard seasons in Russ's stay. And Why shouldn't Cortland Sutton, who's a bigger, stronger guy, get the
But
touchdowns and the yards?
if you're comparing receivers, you would compare Sutton to
DJ
Metcalf
Lock, I know,
and then
Metcalf.
Judy to Lockett. So Sutton to Lockett's not really kind of like a different wide receiver. But I mean, but you can still go with Metcalf. Metcalf has still had double-digit touchdown seasons. The yards that haven't necessarily been there. I mean, I mean, I guess.
He had 1,310 2 years ago.
I mean, so I get it's possible. It's just how much the Broncos are going to run or going to pass because they still like to run the ball.
Look at that, I just froze the room.
Room.
You're like, that's real. That's not a bold prediction, Adam. Okay, then let's go to round two. JJ Wang, this one had to be tough for you.
Well, and it hurts me even more because so yesterday was the first time I drafted Derrick Henry in pretty much any league, like pretty much ever. I've pretty much always stayed away from him. So I draft him. Hopefully he has a big season, but this has been my kind of bold prediction all year long. Like the fall of King Henry kind of like begins now. Like last year, I think last year was it. I mean, and he got injured. He was on a fantasy tear. He still finished as a top 20 running back, right? Even though he missed half the season.
15, wasn't he? 16?
So of all the things that hurt, I think for a guy Derrick Henry's size, he breaks his foot. I mean, that's a lot of pressure on that foot to be broken. And I think you're just going to notice a considerable decline from Derrick Henry. I'm thinking outside top 20 this year.
Man, I sure hope not. I got him in my other dynasty league, and I'm making a run in that league this year.
I mean, after yesterday, I kind of hope not either. But this has been my bold prediction for the whole year, and I can't really. So I'm just gonna stick with it.
Yep.
You broke my heart, brother. I need a new podcasting partner.
I hope I can ride him for 1 or 2 more seasons.
Yeah, I was banking on him for like 2 more years. Like I think I mentioned it earlier in the year. Like I think this year is his last premier year. Next year it'll be down, and then after that he becomes the bus. He'll be Jerome Bettis for many years. Like he'll be that guy. He'll rush for like 400 yards a year and get 12 touchdowns because he'll just pound in the rock. But then again, maybe he's Adrian Peterson and he'll play up into his 30s. And he's a monster of a man. Any other thoughts there on King Henry? Anybody else heartbroken, or is it like I don't think for him to fall out top 20 with the amount of touches he's get, I think is going to be super hard. Like I could see he could be an RB2 if he falls on his face.
I mean, it's outside top 20, it could be 21. I mean, it's still an RB2, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking like mid-teens would be like for me. That's like his floor.
Oh, like I said, I totally understand that Derrick Henry's probably going to be successful. Absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to say, but I don't know. At some point, it's been a heavy workload, and if he wouldn't have hurt his foot last year, like say he hurt his shoulder, he hurt something like in the upper body. I mean, fine, but that's a lot of pressure on those feet, man.
Great.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's not many other options though in that offense. I mean, Woods is coming back from an injury. He's 32 years old. Treylon Burks has kind of been iffy in training camp and off season, preseason. So, I mean, I think they're just going to ride Derrick Henry until the wheels fall off.
Yeah. So let me hear about your running back, Dove.
Oh, mine? Oh, just jumping back to me for this one. So my bold prediction originally, and it's going to be my bonus bold prediction, but it doesn't seem too bold anymore. And I mentioned to you before, initially my bold prediction was going to be that Dameon Pierce was the best running back, and it wasn't even close. And then everybody saw it, and it happened. So it can't really be a bold prediction because it's true, and Breece Hall's the number 2 running back on this team, but we won't fight about that till later. But my bold prediction actually came into fruition about a week ago. He was our man last year. We planted a flag last year. Every year we plant a flag on a player. This year we're planting a flag for Gabriel Davis. Last year, we planted a flag for Antonio Gibson. Washington football team of that time, and now Washington Commanders starting running back. and he fell on his face. I traded him away. We didn't want to have a thing to do with him. And we talked the other week about how Jeff sent a question about how terrible is Antonio Gibson. Well, 4 hours after we record the podcast, poor Brian Robinson has the travesty and gets carjacked. And he's shot in the leg and he's out for who knows when. I mean, getting shot in the leg is not good for a running back. So really, Brian Robinson might play this year, but it's going to be hit or miss depending upon how his leg heals. He has a hole in it now. So now Antonio Gibson is RB1. They didn't bring in anybody. So I'm going bold. It's last year. I'm going to give him 1,400 all-purpose yards, and I'm going to give him 10 touchdowns because he's got to get them. They're going to give McKissick some stuff. Carson Wentz is probably going to dump the ball off to both of them when they're in there. So, I mean, will his yards be mostly rushing? Probably not. Probably about 60-40, 75-25, 70-30. He'll get a bunch of receiving yards because he is a receiver. He is, as we talked about last week, a weapon. So, and he wants to just prove it. He's been a kick returner for the last month. Antonio Gibson's going to turn around. He's going to say, "Hey guys, you said I was garbage. Now I'm gold."
So before we go in on that, Scott, can you do your two running backs here?
Sure can. Yeah, I'm gonna hop on board with what Adam. I'm gonna agree with him real quick on Gibson. I went and did some best balls as soon as that happened and sniped him, with good value. My couple running back plugs real quick are this year I'm going with Swift. This is breakout time. This is the Swift party. He has had a tough time staying healthy, and that's probably the biggest knock on him. But assuming a full healthy year, couple tidbits for that. Detroit has the third best offensive line per PFF. Not that I put a whole lot of stock into ease of schedule. I think that changes around really quickly, but he has the easiest schedule of anyone ranked inside the top 10. And just compared to some of the other running backs that are going higher than him, maybe about half of them or so, guys like Mixon are going to be competing for targets in the air. I like Amon-Ra, but I think Swift is easily pushing what Kamara was a couple years ago with 70 passes. I see him getting close to 1,200 yards. He's going to be one of those 1,000 on average almost kind of guys, and I see him. This is breakout party time. The other guy that I getting higher and higher on with the Walker injury, and they've been really vague on what this hernia injury is. And I was a Walker guy, but Penny was the number one running back in the last 6 or 7 weeks of fantasy last year. They got rid of some guys, and I think they're going to ride him until the wheels fall off. And I think he's going to start the season so strong that they're really not going to employ It's going to be like this A.J. Dillon type thing where he comes in next year or the year after and he starts really making waves. But I think it's Penny full steam ahead this year. And I could easily see him being a top 10 running back. And I think he's being drafted close to like RB 30, which is criminal. So RB1 in the last 6 or 7 weeks last year. They don't have a great QB situation. I think they're giving him the rock and they're going to ride that Penny train.
Okay, so so we got Swift is an RB1, Penny is an RB1, Gibson obviously is an RB1 here. I'll give you the question real quick. Who's not an RB1 anymore, Jared?
The people that are RB1s right now?
Yeah, so if these three are going to be RB1s, who's going to have to fall out? I know it's kind of on the spot.
He wants you to say
Good question.
No, I don't think Henry. Trying to think. I mean, is Javonte Williams? He's right there on the edge, maybe.
Well,
I mean,
could it be?
Eckler.
Oh, whoa!
Yeah, there we go. Let's talk Eckler. We're talking Eckler here. Let's talk Henry.
Eckler is outside the top 15.
Oh my God!
Ooh.
I mean Saquon. I mean Saquon's kind of.
Safety 12. Here's top 10 running backs according to I just lost it. Fantasy Pros right now they're saying Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, Kamara. L. Barkley is at 10 right now.
I mean, Barkley. Who was the other guy you just said?
Probably Mixon.
Number 6,
Najee.
Najee. I can see maybe Najee.
Oh,
Oh,
that's Scott.
I
it's
mean,
like a crushed table.
if we're putting Scott's 2 guys into the top 12, and 2 of them got to fall out, I mean, it could be Najee and Williams.
All right. So speaking of Williams, you want to tell us about your wide receiver you got here?
Yeah, I mean, I got Mike Williams. Again, just kind of like with my Julio Jones take, he's in an offense that's just going to chuck the ball everywhere. I mean, last season he started off strong, was like the wide receiver 2. I don't know, through the first like 8 weeks or something. Then he got banged up. Um, I just love him. I think Keenan Allen's on a downward trend in his career. Um, Mike Williams is probably at the peak of his career, and they're just going to have to throw that ball to keep up with all those teams in that division. And I love Justin Herbert, but that's kind of my take. I've been trying to get Mike Williams everywhere, and I've gotten him a few places, but most of the people I draft with know that I want Mike Williams, so they ended up taking him right before he comes to me. So,
Just Josh Palmer is available.
Well, yeah, I think if talking about Brady being up there with 800 attempts, if we're putting another guy in that category, I do agree that it's probably Herbert. Those 2 guys will be making the neck and neck for most pass attempts and most air yards this year. So they got 2 great receivers. Josh Palmer is even a good 3rd receiver, and Eckler's going to catch a lot. I've got Williams on one team, so I do hope that you're correct on that Williams pick.
Yeah, I mean, I like how in their division they're going to have to throw to keep up with the other teams. That division is just stacked.
And now a message from our favorite sponsor.
Yes, Underdog Fantasy is the best and easiest place to play fantasy sports. I mean, it's pretty good, right? So there's no waivers, there's no trades or lineup settings. So we're just drafting here, right? So the Underdog Fantasy lets you draft a fantasy dream team in minutes or hours, days, or what we dealt with a couple days ago, or weeks, even months if you're playing best ball. But it's the best part about fantasy for me. It's all about the draft.
And if you sign up now using the code Couriers, they will double your first deposit up to $100 in bonus cash. In case you missed that, when you make your first deposit of $10 or more, they will double it up to $100. If you deposit $100, you get $100 free Underdog cash. With their slick mobile app and user-friendly website, you'll have no problem jumping in and drafting your squad. Join Underdog today, and don't forget to use the code Couriers. A link is in the notes of the podcast. Now back to the show.
So we have 2 more rounds here, and as we're coming in, this round we call Homer Bowl Predictions. Teams that are our favorite teams in the case of myself and Scott, or teams that we're really pulling for. I don't think it's your for sure full-time favorite teams, but we're going to piggyback right off of where Jared was for his Homer Bowl prediction. He was just talking about Mike Williams and the Chargers crushing it. So, Jared, what's your Homer Bowl prediction?
My Homer bold prediction for this season is that the Chargers sweep the AFC West. They beat Kansas City, beat the Raiders. They beat them all. They sweep them all.
So not a bad game. Not a bad. Are they going undefeated?
No, I'm not saying that. It's a bold prediction.
All right.
I think they try to beef up their defense this year, getting Khalil Mack. They got who was it? J.C. Jackson, the cornerback. So, and that was probably what they were missing last year, right? Was their defense. And they still got all the pieces from last year with Eckler and Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Josh Palmer, Gerald Everett, Justin Herbert. So I mean, they got the talent. They just need to go out there and execute it.
What do you think about that, Dove?
I mean, any team to sweep a star-studded that could be the boldest thing that's been said today because that AFC West, I think the winning team in the AFC West has 9 wins. But the winning team I have in the AFC West is in the Super Bowl. So I'll get to that in a moment. I think it's tough. It's tough. Like
I almost had the Chargers in my Super Bowl pick, which we're going to get to, and the only reason I didn't pick them is because of that division. We'll get to my pick, but I mean, I think the Chiefs are going to take a little step back. I love Carr this year, but the Chargers have the most consistency in terms of everything across the board, and like you just said, they're a top 5 defense this year, best defense in that division. So I can see it happening.
They just gotta stop going for it on so many fourth downs, and maybe sometimes just punt it away. They'll be so risque. I mean, I know it's the new thing to do in the NFL, but go ahead and tell us about your Hummer pick here, Scott.
All right. Well, the hype train is full steam ahead and out of the bag on George Pickens. You know, we talked about Freiermuth earlier. I think he's going to have a great season, but the bold prediction is that George Pickens not only leads the Steelers in receiving this year, but all rookie wide receivers in receiving. He just had, I mean, it's already shown through camp. He's got too much talent. He's 6'3", like 205. So he's got 2 inches on Justin Jefferson. He's this guy who plays physical, a la Hines Ward back in the day, but with way more talent. He's already built all the chemistry with having as much time with the quarterbacks while Deontay and Claypool were out. So I think the chemistry is going to be there immediately. And we're going to see his potency in the offense come to fruition really early in the season compared to some of the other rookie wide receivers. I think they're just going to see that he's got too much talent to keep as the wide receiver 3. He's going to play right away. Could be pushing
double-digit touchdowns,
close to 1,000 yards, and yeah, I don't know about double-digit touchdowns, but just because they have so many weapons.
So more Deontay than Claypool, kind of rookie.
Yeah.
So how many touchdowns did Claypool have? He had 9 touchdowns?
In his rookie season, I think he had 9 touchdowns.
So
right?
if Pickens is better than Claypool, it was kind of possible, right? I know a different quarterback. You know, it was Ben Roethlisberger, but I mean an older Ben Roethlisberger and a younger Trubisky or a younger Pickett. You know, I think it's. I mean, they both got cannons. Pickens likes to run the ball down the field, man.
I think both those quarterbacks, whoever's playing, is going to be better than we think they're going to be. And, when I look down the list of the other rookie wide receivers, I liked Garrett Wilson coming out, but gosh, that team, until they prove it and they have a quarterback situation, like I already said, Drake London, the targets may be there, but I'm not a huge believer yet. Traylon Burks, we've already talked about him being iffy in camp, and he's definitely no A.J. Brown. Who else is there? Dotson,
Christian Watson.
Olave is going to be competing with a lot of guys. I just think Pickens has that alpha quality over everyone in that we just listed right there. So I think he's going to show it sooner than later.
Yeah. Does anybody got anything on Pickens being a stud? Yeah, no. We all agree on that. So I want to hear what you've got on store for this guy right here, DJ Dove.
Oh, I have my homer pick from my Miami Dolphins. In case you don't know, I'm a Dolphins fan because I hate life and I just like to be miserable constantly. Is that this year Chase Edmonds is going to elevate his game. He is coming into a 49ers basic running offense where somebody every year runs for 1,000 yards. Now, I don't think he's going to run for 1,000 yards because there's other backs there, but I think Chase Edmonds, his numbers are going to be comparable to Gibson. I'm thinking 1,300 yards and about 8 to 9 touchdowns for Chase Edmonds, who's a guy who's never been close to that. But I think in this offense that produces running back monsters, I mean, Edmonds got 600 yards last year. He had 800 yards last year, all purpose, and 2 touchdowns. He's never eclipsed 5 touchdowns. So for this to happen, it would mean that the Dolphins are going the right way, and there's not going to be a lot of pressure really on that backfield anyway. So whoever's back there is going to succeed because everybody's guarding Tyreek and Waddle and probably Gesicki, who will be the slot receiver for the team. So Chase Edmonds, he's going to ball out this year and have a great season.
Does anybody else want to speak on that one?
Mine just quiet everybody.
He's going to have his best season.
So
Kimmy's worse, right?
all of his touchdowns are going to have to come outside of like the 20-yard line, right? Because we know he doesn't get any goal line carries. Will that change?
That was in Arizona with that Joker Cliff Kingsbury. Let's see what happens when he has a real coach.
Yeah. So,
Homer.
So 1,300 yards for yeah. Let's that one's going. Like I said, it is possible in that offense. We all know that it's a running offense, and that guy was the running game coordinator for Kyle Shanahan pretty much ever since he's been as the coach. So I mean, we know it works. So I'm going to dip over here to my guy. So I had 2 options. I was going to go Michael Pittman, or I was going to go Davis Mills. And since Doug said, the Texans are my favorite team, gotta admit the Texans probably are my favorite team right now.
You got your coffee mug? Got your coffee mug?
I'll have to go with Davis Mills here, and so I'm not going to go out of control here because I'm going to scale it back a little bit. But I think Davis Mills is just as good as Kirk Cousins. I think he's just as good as Derek Carr. Correct, Derek, not David.
Good job.
That puts Davis Mills as a top 12 quarterback. That's my bold prediction. Is that bold enough, or do I got to do a little more?
I think top 12 is pretty bold.
Okay, I'll go with top 12.
Top 12 for a guy who people don't think are going to be a quarterback next year because of the draft is fairly stinking bold.
I know it's a small sample, but the last 6 games of the season that he played last year, he was a top 10 quarterback. And if you take away the Buffalo game where he was dreadful in like his second game, he had 87 yards and 4 interceptions. You take away that game, Davis Mills probably had, if he would have played the whole season, the best rookie season out of every quarterback drafted, and he's a 3rd rounder. And he was a 5-star prospect coming into college. Injuries derailed him, ACL tears, multiple ones, I believe. So if he's playing in college all 4 years, like a Kirk Cousins, like a Derek Carr, or even say like a Matt Stafford, he's getting drafted higher. So I think the talent's there. He's a big dude, big arm. Just hope the Texans are going in the right direction as a team.
Well, that's because the rest of the QB class last year is terrible, right?
Man, did they let us
No,
down.
but I agree with you, JJ. I think Davis Mills is definitely better than everyone. I mean, everyone's sleeping. He's not even being drafted in redraft leagues. And I think he could easily surprise and be a mid-tier kind of high-end QB2 if he pushes that top 12.
So let me say this. If Davis Mills goes to Alabama, #1 overall pick as coming out of college. But he goes to Stanford and gets injured. But he's better than Mac Jones. I mean, Mac Jones getting drafted before Davis Mills. Oh, God, it's so frustrating.
Okay, so Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers, Trey Lance. Who's not in the top 12?
It could be Matt Stafford. You said Matt Stafford, right?
Nope, Matt Stafford's 13.
So who was the one before?
Trey Lance.
No, definitely not Trey Lance. That's #1.
Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Lamar, Murray, Jalen Hurts, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Dak, Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers, and Trey Lance. You know the answer. You just don't want to say it.
It might be Dak. I don't want to say Dak. Dak is on the verge of being like in the 14 style quarterback. And honestly, I think Joe Burrow is more of a 8 to 12 type quarterback than he is above 8. So if Burrow finishes 13th, it wouldn't surprise me, but I know Burrow he's got a lot of weapons. So, I mean, a lot of those guys, so any guy from, let's say, 9 to like that 12. So maybe even I'll put Russell Wilson in there. I think Russell Wilson has a chance of not being a top 12 quarterback.
I agree. Yeah.
So we got.
I think Dak and Aaron Rodgers would be the ones to fall out.
Aaron Rodgers is a possibility. I'm finally starting to warm up to Aaron Rodgers after 15 years of just despising the guy. I'm finally starting to come around. And if this is the year that he starts sucking, I'm gonna be really upset. But
So those are some of our boldest predictions. And when I was messaging Jared's like, I could do bold predictions all day. And he was a little quiet there on the homer front there as we were going through. So Jared, you said you had a bunch more. Give us one bonus prediction since Scott had about 3 or 4 to each bold. So give us one last bold prediction you want to pull out to throw out to Courier Nation. And then we're going to do our Super Bowl picks. And we got a little treat for for Courier Nation after this.
Oh, man. I know. I think I did send you an extra one on there, didn't I? And I forgot about it. I do have one off the top of my head. I'm going to say that Kyle Pitts is going to be outside of a top 5 tight end. I think he gets the receptions, I gets the yards, but you need touchdowns. And I don't think he gets – I mean, if he gets 6 touchdowns, that's good for a tight end. I'm just saying there's a possibility of it.
oh yeah,
I mean, if he does it, it wouldn't shock me, but there's a possibility that he's got Mariota, maybe Desmond Ridder later on in the season, where the touchdowns just don't come. I mean, he only got one from Matt Ryan last year, so
He's a little better.
but I would like for me when I go into drafts, it's Kelsey, Andrews. I do like Dalton Schultz this year. Pitts if he falls to a certain spot, but
So does no Tyreek scare you about Kelsey?
no.
No. So the defense not having to worry about the fastest guy in the NFL, and they can all just bump up and play more underneath than deep. Does that scare anybody?
I trust Mahomes.
I think Kelsey is. If you think about the Patriots offense back in the day and Gronk, I mean, was there anybody taken off the top to help Gronk off? Gronk, in the middle of the field. I mean, he's just so skilled.
Point.
Okay.
They've got enough quality. They don't have the guy like Tyreek, but they got enough quality across the board with where they, Valdez Scantling's going to take the top off. Juju's going to be on the outside running all over the place. I think Juju's the most likely to kind of fill that Tyreek role. And he's not Tyreek level talent, but he's a really good receiver. I think Kelsey's just fine, even though he's not going to be in the top 3.
Well, and like I mentioned earlier, I traded Pitts away for Mike Evans. That's because I had Kelsey. So I was comfortable with it.
Traded Kelsey away for Mike Evans and kept Pitts for the next. It's
Kelsey's got 3 years in him.
Yeah, it is a dynasty, but
an old wide receiver for an old tight end, and plus Pitts for the next 10 years.
I just feel like Pitts. He was good last year, but there's a possibility he won't be elite this year or next year if they bring in another quarterback. Because who's to say that Ritter's the guy?
Yeah, I was just trying to see if I could talk you out of it.
No, it's cool.
In that win now mode.
Definitely. So those have been some bold takes. We're going to do a speed round here where we're just going to go through our Super Bowl picks, see what happens. I'll go last since last year I did pick the Super Bowl winner. I took the low-hanging fruit of the Rams, but I picked the Rams last year winning. I forget who I had them against. I should pull that up. So let's start with Jarrett. This is going to be a very boring thing for you guys as we go through. So actually, let's start with Scott. So this is a little more entertaining. Scott, give us your Super Bowl picks.
All right. Well, I do see you're going with my team that I picked last year, and we'll get to that one.
Oh, yeah.
From the AFC. I was just
You're a year behind.
Early on Gabe Davis and your Super Bowl team here. So picking from the AFC was tough. The AFC is just a juggernaut. And I was really close to picking the Chargers, but that division is so tough. I think that could actually work in their favor because they'll be used to playing tough games. But I'm going to go with the Bills this year out of the AFC. The division's not nearly as strong as it has been. They're right there. Josh Allen is a stud. They're going to be, I think they were the number 2 ranked defense in PFF. So they've got the defense, and they added Von Miller this season. So all the pieces are there for the Bills. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to think that's a dumb pick. And then NFC was tough. You know, the Packers can't get over the hump. I think the Vikings could be good. I was reluctant to pick the 49ers, but I'm going to roll with Trey Lance going straight into the Super Bowl in his first season starting. They're going to be the number 1 ranked defense on PFF. With getting Bosa back, that defense is just going to be absolutely nasty. And now they're going to have a quarterback who can really push the ball down the field, who's going to run. I think he's going to be raw, but he adds that extra dimension that they've been looking for, and I'm going to ride the 49ers into the Super Bowl. I'll take the Bills. I'll take the Bills winning, but those are my.
I wish the podcast viewers could see JJ Wang just nodding his head, but we're gonna skip him for now. Let's go to Jared. Jared, what's your Super Bowl pick? We're gonna have some boring and some new.
Well, my Super Bowl pick is the Bills. I got them over the Rams. Like Scott said, I think the Bills are a complete team. It's an easier division. I like looking for a team that I think is probably going to end up having the number 1 seed. I mean, I think that helps tremendously to get to the Super Bowl, playing one less game. But I mean, the Rams, as long as Matthew Stafford's elbow doesn't end up being a problem during the season, I like their weapons, Cooper Kupp, you know. So, I mean, if it's not the Rams, then it's the Bucks. So. That's my take. I got the Bills winning it all.
Tell them your score. See, that'd make it even bolder.
I think it was 31 to 28.
Yep.
Yeah. So Bills over Rams.
Another Bills pick here in the realm. JJ Wang, you want to join the party here?
Yeah, so I'll go back to the Rams real quick. I'm pretty sure Stafford won't be an issue because I think the dude is a robot. Pretty sure he's played with a broken back all year. He's played like just constant like broken legs. I mean, so I don't think a little elbow is really gonna hurt this guy. Plus he's got Sean McVay, so Sean McVay can make magic happen out of anything. So my team is pretty much the exact same as it was last year. Right on board there with Scott. Bills, 49ers. I love Josh Allen. I love Trey Lance. Gabriel Davis is going to have 4,000 yards and 27 touchdowns. So it's going to be out of control. Stephon Diggs is also going to go crazy.
Wide receiver 2 on DJ Rankins.
Yeah, so and then you got the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, quite possibly. I'm not going to say quite possibly. In my opinion, one of the best offensive minds like to coach. I mean, he's just waiting for a Super Bowl. He should have already had it. But it's good, dominant run game. Trey Lance, like I've always said, just look back at when the Redskins drafted RG3. The Redskins were really good that year with Kyle Shanahan, with RG3. RG3 gets hurt and it's all downhill. But the same thing. This is what Kyle Shanahan wants. The Bills are awesome. The 49ers are awesome. The defenses are awesome. The offenses are awesome. I mean, Trey Lance and Josh Allen, what more do you want, right?
Who wins?
Oh God, I don't know. I haven't thought about it. It's too hard to say.
Oh, come on, it's bold.
This game may never end, right? It just keep going it. But I'm gonna go 49ers.
Oh wow. I'll be honest, the Bills have been my pick the entire offseason, but I figured I'd make it a little more entertaining. So I was like, hey, who am I going to throw in here? Well, if Sutton's going to get 6 million yards for me, I might as well ride the Russell Wilson train. I'm following the whole thing where that new good veteran quarterback goes, turns that team into gold. They'll win 10 games, 9 games this year, have to sneak into the playoffs. I mean, they'll win. They'll win the division because they'll beat the Chargers twice instead of getting swept by the Chargers, as Jared's got them. And I got the Denver Broncos versus the what was it, 800 passing attempt Tom Brady Buccaneers. So I have Tom Brady. He's going to totally Elway it. He's going out on top. The Buccaneers are just going to roll through the playoffs, no competition. They'll play the Broncos. It'll look like the Broncos played in 1992 with the old Dan Reeves teams. They're really good in the regular season. Then some NFC team comes and pummels them. So Buccaneers over the Broncos. Probably not too close in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
So that
if it's those two teams, I think Tampa Bay might win that like 56-13.
I said like the night. Remember those old Broncos games when we were kids? That's what's going to happen. So
That's going to be a butt whooping right there.
yeah, and and Brady's going to want that. That's how Brady wants to go out. Brady wants to go out.
Going to
Just
have 95 passes in the Super Bowl.
yeah, he'll have 801 attempts in the bowl.
So the record for a game is 70 by Drew Bledsoe back in the day. I think Tom Brady might hit that number in a game this year.
Yeah.
He's in the NFC South, which is great.
I would like to see that.
Well, so thank you guys for coming on. Jared and Scott, thanks for spending some time with the Couriers, Courier Nation. We have a little more treat for you coming up after we bid Jared and Scott adieu. But we want to thank you guys for coming on. Thanks for supporting Courier Nation. They both have their very own Fantasy Courier stickers that have been mailed in their areas. Hopefully, are decorating everything they got. And any last departing words of wisdom from Scott and Jared for Courier Nation?
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on again and having all my picks come true once again.
We'll see about that.
Yep. I just want to say thanks. It was nice meeting you and getting to know you. So, really enjoy the text
Scott, we'll
messages
see you in
and stuff.
Bourbon Bowl.
All righty.
Okay, regulators mount up. Thanks, guys.
All right.
JJ Wang, I'm still hurt by the Derrick Henry thing. Like I gave away my soul for Derrick Henry. It hurts, man. It hurts.
I mean, I'm hurt too. I didn't want to do it. Like I said, I drafted the guy. I don't want to draft the guy one day and then sit here in my bold predict. I mean, I drafted the guy in the first round. I don't want him to go. I mean, that's a season right there. I mean,
Yeah.
but you got to be true to yourself, man. Like I always say, you got to trust the process, and this is my process. And Derrick Henry has been my bold prediction all year, and I just can't
Yeah.
change it.
You've been consistent. You've been consistent. So I did put a post this week asking. Oh, and before we go further, I can't go on without thanking Jared and Scott for coming on. They were great to have a conversation with, and we were talking after we stopped recording. We could have talked for like hours, couldn't we? Just done bold predictions and chatted football. And I mean, that's what fantasy's about. Is about finding people you can just shoot the breeze with. And those two dudes actually are, other than you, are probably the two guys I speak the most fantasy with, and they've never met before or heard of each other, and they both just jumped in Courier Nation activities.
Yeah, that's the great thing about fantasy football, right? The camaraderie of it all, right?
100%.
Yeah.
It would stink to lose every game this year, but it would still be fun because I could bust Scott's chops, bust Jared's chops, and bust your chops, and
That's
have
why
a good.
that's why you play more than one league.
Yeah.
So if you have a bad league, you can throw it away. It's okay. Just go to the one that's really good. So it's all good.
And that's why I created a league that my kids are in, so that they know nothing. I can be good to go. But as I was starting to say there, before I forgot to thank our amazing guest, I put a post out on the Facebook page asking for bold predictions from Courier Nation. I said I would share them, so hopefully you're listening. It's going to be a speed round, so it won't be any discussion. And then we have our very special treat for you that we will share. So Jeremy says Josh Jacobs, top 10 running back this season. James P. says Cordero Patterson gets dual status and is a top 10 flex play all season. Damien, who's a regular contributor, I might have to catch up with him, says Derrick Henry is the comeback player of the year and breaks the single season yards record, snags the MVP in the process. I got to stop, right?
Hey, man,
No.
I hope it happens.
It's still going. Jason S. says Jalen Hurts wins MVP. Eagles win the Super Bowl. Your brother-in-law is probably jumping out of his seat right
That's the
now.
worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
James says Baker Mayfield MVP, and this one I got a kick out of. I win all 6 of my fantasy football leagues finally. So he's rooting for his team. He's being doubly bold.
I hope that they get trounced in the first.
We just lost a fan. Thanks a lot. Adam, I love this one. Damian Pierce, top 15 running back.
I mean, Houston Texans all the way, bud.
David says Javonte Williams will be a top 5 running back in Denver.
There's going to be some running backs that aren't going to finish in the top 10, guys. I mean,
Well, out of those top 12, don't usually 2 of them tear their ACL, and the other 3 play half the season.
we've already introduced 5 new running backs into the RB1 situation. 5 of them are going to have to fall out.
Well, I think over the year we've introduced at least 16. But Kyle says, you cover your ears, JJ. Just cover your ears. Tom Brady doesn't finish the season. He's eluded father time, unlike anyone before him. But that O-line is banged up, and he's going to get crushed this season at some point. And it was followed up by someone mentioning if he gets 2,500 yards, he gets 100,000 all-time passing yards. Just a little tidbit
What
there.
happened? And I'm not a huge Leonard Fournette fan, but Tom Brady, as soon as Tom Brady sees that a guy's like 7 yards away from him, he's just dumping it off to Fournette. I don't think anybody gets close to Tom Brady to
I
even
mean, Keyshawn Vaughn.
or Keyshawn Vaughn. Either one, it doesn't matter. I hope it's Keyshawn Vaughn even more.
Ooh, Marco. Jared's not going to like this one. Marco says Rams won't make the postseason. Josh said, this one's bold. Josh says the Bears make the playoffs.
Oh God, I hope so. That'd be awesome. That means Justin Fields is a stud.
That'd mean the apocalypse. That team looks terrible. Brandon says CEH finishes as a top 6 running back. I would love that in our one league.
That's
Not happening.
nonsense.
Greg followed Scott says Penny stays healthy and he is a top 5 running back. Him and Scott must be buddies.
Must be, but I like that though. Penny good.
And then I like this one a lot because I saw this. This was a dude I saw speak right before COVID. Another Scott says Kirk Cousins MVP of the Super Bowl.
Oof.
So yeah,
If their defense plays better than it has, I mean, they've got as good as offense as anybody in the league.
that's that team. I'm curious about that team. But yeah, so special treat. What I did is I sent out some emails to various podcasts we listen to that we both listen to numerous podcasts. So I wanted to surprise JJ Wang, seeing if anybody could come in and be like, hey, yeah, we got a bold prediction for you. Many places goes to me. Some of the bigger names actually replied back. So thanks to Dynasty Nerds and the Couriers for the Couriers. We're like the footballers for getting us back, but their schedules are just so crazy right now. But we did get hit by my boy Chad Parsons. He writes and does the podcast for Under the Helmet. It's a Dynasty show. They do a great job. If you want to really get into Dynasty, check out this show. He has various other hosts that are on there with him, and they talk not just Dynasty now, but they talk about Dynasty in the future. They do talk about Debbie rankings. They talk about rookie rankings. And it's just a great show to watch. But Chad sent me this in. If you're watching YouTube, you see a picture of Chad, the Under the Helmet logo. In the notes, I told him, I said, you made my day. Coming to see us, helping us to get a comment in here. I'm going to put all the links to check out their podcast in the notes. But without further ado, here is Chad Parsons' bold prediction.
Hey, Fantasy Couriers. Chad Parsons here from Under the Helmet and UTHDynasty.com. Got a couple of young running backs for my bold prediction, which is going to be J.K. Dobbins and Cam Akers. 2 young, pedigreed running backs, but coming back from significant injuries. I'm going to say neither one is a top 12 fantasy running back this season. We've already heard the buzz out of LA for the Rams that Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson, they view it as having 2 starters. A lot of times you need at least that 1 season, if not getting to the 2nd season, before you see Achilles start to come back, be vibrant again if Cam Akers gets close enough to 95, 100% in his career, which we haven't seen from Marlon Mack, Mikel Leshore, and others. So very worried about Cam Akers specifically this season. J.K. Dobbins, complicated injury. What do? Let's bring in Mike Davis a long time ago. Let's bring in Kenyon Drake. They are worried about Gus Edwards and also J.K. Dobbins. Plus, neither of these teams throw the ball to running backs enough or a ton that they need to be huge in terms of rushing upside, huge in terms of touchdown upside, and I don't think either young running back gets home as a top 12 producer this season. Good luck this year, and thanks so much for having me as part of your bold prediction special show. Here's to a great 2020. The football season is upon us, and let's go get it in our fantasy leagues this year.
Yeah, so shout out to Chad at UTH. Kind of agree with him there. With the amount of running backs we got going into the top 5 and the amount of that's already coming out, you got the injuries. Dobbins may not even be ready. I do think McVay really, really likes Akers. So I think that one's the one that's a little tricky, but like I said, I wouldn't be surprised. Henderson plays well, but Dobbins, that one's going to be tough. Like I said, they don't get a lot of the receiving work.
I mean, it's Super Bowl. Those guys will go, and I was listening to other people as well talking. They're going amazingly high over guys that we know are going to play. So this could be Akers get back on track here. Other people are arguing Akers came back already, so now it's him playing the year. Dobbins, dude, he hasn't played. So we're drafting him. Like, I drafted him too early in my startup and luckily got out from under that. He hasn't played. So, yeah, I mean, Chad, that's bold to say because people are high on both of those guys and probably not high on both. Like, I had both of them on the same team because I'm a knucklehead, but I don't think people are high on both of them. It's usually one or the other. But if they both flounder, he could be the guy we have to have on our show. I mean, we should get him anyway. But yeah, Chad, thanks for taking the time. I know you're busy because you do a lot of writing and things. But everybody, check out Under the Helmet. If you want to ever expand your dynasty to go to Devi, this is the place. They got it in there.
I do. I would like to delve into that a little bit. I mean, I'm definitely interested. I want to have to hook up with him and see what's up. Maybe he can get me started on that.
Yeah, they got lots of great Devi articles. I know some of the other writers that are on the show with him as well. They're super in Devi, so check out the podcast. They do a lot. Like, those are the episodes I'll listen to them like, oh, Devi, man, my brain, you know how I am with college. That's like the day I can't do anything, so I had to pick a day. That's how my life has went, and I researched college.
Speaking of college, how does it feel knowing that your alma mater is about to win the national championship, right?
44 points for JMU. They just clobbered a D1 school, Middle
What if they
Tennessee
go-
State.
What if they go undefeated? How can they get ranked, right?
Isn't it like 12 because they're in the Sun Belt?
Oh, no,
For anybody that don't know, I went to James Madison University. They jumped up to Division One ball FBS this year, so they're in the Sun Belt Conference. But they just clobbered. They put 44 on the board last night.
I don't know who said it, but somebody in one of our chats said Middle Tennessee was like a middle of the road pack. I mean,
Yeah,
they won 6.
they're 7-6.
JMU comes in, absolutely routs them. I bet that was a rowdy home game. I bet they were on fire. I bet they partying, burning couches, all kinds of stuff. So shout out to JMU.
Go Dukes!
National championship. It's right there, man. It's in our grasp.
Oh yeah, that would be the party of the year. But so yeah, hope y'all enjoyed our bold predictions. Get ready for the season. Make sure you set your lineups. Make sure you get those last minute trades in. Get everything you got to get ready for the season. Next time you see us, we'll be talking about starter set options for week 1. JJ Wayne, give us some wisdom to start off our football year.
The bold prediction: JMU against Alabama in the national championship. JMU comes out victorious. Go big or go. Let me rephrase that. Go bold or go home. That's what I always say. JMU to the top. Trust the process and trust yourself. I did that backwards.